All right, Calum. So thank you for coming on.
No problem.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So yeah, as always, I guess we start from your football journey. Like, how did the whole football journey began for you in Scotland? And like, obviously, you end up here in Hong Kong. So like, let us know how it all started.
Started playing football, to be honest, probably ever since I could probably walk, to be honest. Just always had a ball at my feet. And then around 4 years old, I joined my local boys club called Hutchison Vale. It's quite to be honest, it's probably the biggest boys club, definitely in Edinburgh, and it's really well known across Scotland. It's been quite renowned for sort of producing eventually like Scottish international players, guys that have played at the top level in Scotland and in England. So yeah, went there when I was 4 years old, just at like the top school, just learning about the ball and things like that, and I ended up spending 10 years there, all the way up until I was 14, and then had some amazing years there. Played some big teams all around the UK, the likes of sort of Man United's academy, Newcastle, Everton. Went to a tournament in Italy when I was maybe around 11 or 12. We played against Inter Milan.
Wow.
So Hutchison Vale, from such a young age to 13, 14 years old, was some amazing experiences.
What about your family? Were they also into football, like
yeah,
your father?
Yeah, definitely. My dad, he's a massive football fan, and my mum's sort of been embedded into that because of my dad as well, and me, and I've got a younger brother, of him growing up liking football as well. So, but yeah, they've been amazing for me. They've supported me right the way through, up and all the way until now, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so. Taking me everywhere around the UK for football, and of course abroad. They work so hard for what they have, and it's, a lot of these things that to travel and it's their time and money. It's all down to their hard work that they put in.
Who did you support as a kid?
Hibs. I get asked this a lot, especially here. Normally people ask me if it's
Rangers, Celtic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But I'm from Edinburgh myself, so people there is normally Hibs or Hearts, and
Hearts doing well right now too.
I mean, yeah. Now it's going to the final day with Celtic.
Yeah, so they could actually win the league.
Exactly, which would be. I mean, it'd be good for the city. It'd be good for Scottish football, but being a Hibs fan, I don't know. Obviously, I've got a lot of mates that are Hearts fans. I don't know if I could see them winning it. I don't know if I can live with that. Probably better that I'm here for that.
Do you remember going to the Hibs game as a kid?
Yeah, I probably went to my first game when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old with my dad. And around that time, to be honest, 2003 and 4, people talk about it as probably been arguably the best Hibs team there's ever been, really. There's some big names at the club at the time. It was a young team, but most of them were Scotland internationals and then went down to play in the Premier League. So yeah, around that time, maybe 3 or 4 years old, my dad started taking me to Easter Road, which is the Hibs stadium. And since then, probably up until maybe about 16, 17 is when I started to go. I was at the games pretty often, home and away, to be honest. But yeah, no, it was nice growing up around that time.
But at that stage, did you already think that you can be a professional player? Like, did you have that aspiration to be a professional at that stage?
Yeah, always. Ever since when you're young, you're just there to enjoy it, and you're always like watching football on the TV, and I always grew up watching Match of the Day. It was such a big thing in the UK, and when you're a young boy at that age, it's just your dream. And no matter what age you were, it's always been, or age I was, sorry, it was always my dream, and it's just something I've never sort of fully given up on, and I'm just glad now that it's became true.
So when did the next kind of big break happen? So obviously from that, did you end up signing for any actual clubs in Edinburgh?
So yeah, I was at Hutchison Vale from 4 until 14, and then when I was 12 was when I started high school. And this high school was a performance-based high school, and it was a normal high school for just the normal kids that are in the area of that school, but also was for footballers, dancers, and musicians, I think.
Nice.
And it was like 150 kids around the city and other regions of Scotland sort of trialled to get into the school, and I was lucky of like one of 11 kids that got in. So I started there, and that would be like 2 periods of your day that you train. You know, other kids, they have like core subjects like food technology or computing science, and you'd be lucky enough to sort of, you know, be 12, 13 years old and you're training every day at school. You know, it was such a privilege. So I started there, and then 2 years into that, or maybe 1 year into that, I signed for Hibs.
Nice.
So after all the amazing years I'd had at Hutchison Vale, I got the opportunity I went on trial at Hibs for a couple of weeks, and they offered me a contract. At that time I had a couple other teams in Scotland, but you know what it's like when you're like 12, 13 years old, I was Hibs daft, you know, everything was my room and my wall were green, my duvet covers were Hibs, you know, it was just, all you wanted to do was play for Hibs at that time, so I'm sure that probably made my dad proud as well. My mum, of course, she equally was proud. So yeah, I started off at Hibs at 14, and then I spent three years there. Had some really good years there, which took me up until about 17 years old, and my final 6 months, I spoke to the head of youth at the time, and they said they were going to offer me a full-time professional contract, which of course it was
Dream come true.
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? I was young, and I probably didn't realise it at the time, but it was like going to be the first step into professional football and a platform to sort of really kick on. You know, after being told that, I was planning to leave school. I probably took my foot off the gas in terms of like my studies and stuff. You know, it was just one of these things that you're just so sort of, you're on a high. You're just looking forward to the summer to come back in pre-season, thinking you're going to be full time. And in the last 6 months of that season, no one told me anything else. I was kind of just sort of left to my own devices, and just, turned out that it wasn't the case at all in the end.
Did anyone tell you that you didn't actually make it, or did you just leave?
There was like a end of year meeting with the coaches at the time, but the head of youth, like, he didn't say anything else to me after that conversation we had at the Christmas before the end of the season. So yeah, I felt I was quite hard done by. Like, of course, I understand, or I would accept if it wasn't the right time for the club to keep me on, but just to not hear that from the person that told you obviously hurt. You know, I was just a young boy. I was only 17, and you know, you're planning to leave school and stuff, and thinking your dream was going to become true. And it was a difficult time, to be honest. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I ended up having to stay on for my 6th year, which of course was, looking back at it now, was one of the best years I've had in my life. Like, you know, your last year at school, spending it with all your friends, going to things like prom and things like that. You know, these are nice sort of memories to look back on as a young man.
Did that setback kind of make you want to like give up at that time a little bit about the whole football dream?
I wouldn't say give up, but it definitely sort of opened my eyes to other things that could be possible to do in life. Like, I was thinking of perhaps going to university, or to study maybe something like sports science. I was always looking to something in sport if I was going to study. And then my final year at school in 6th year, every Sunday I was working in a supermarket in Tesco's, just to sort of get some pocket money for myself. You know what it's like at that age. You want to buy your own things or whatever. Or when you go out with friends, you have your own money. So I started doing that, and then the last few months of high school, I kind of thought to myself, I'd rather just continue to sort of earn the money. Didn't really fancy going to university that much.
But this time you're still playing football, right?
Yeah.
So are you still with Hibs, or have you already moved?
So I'd moved on from Hibs, and I'd signed for Edinburgh City, which was a League 2 club.
So like two tiers below hips or one tier?
3 actually. It's the 4th division of Scotland.
Okay.
So when I left Hibs, it was originally to trial with Edinburgh City's under-20s team, and then I ended up just training with the first team on my first day, and I ended up getting a professional contract. Not professional contract, sorry, a first team contract. But at that level in Scotland, it's in a professional league, but it's part-time. All the guys have jobs, like a lot of them are tradesmen or personal trainers, or most guys have a job. The financial support at that level is not enough to support you on itself.
How many people come to those games? Like when you play for Edinburgh City, like at a home game, like what is the crowd like?
Say a couple of hundred.
Okay.
Maybe on a bigger day you can reach up to days of 1,000.
So it's a little bit less than, I guess, similar to Hong Kong, I guess.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, more or less. Just depends who the game's against or the occasion. But yeah, it's it's like at the lower leagues of football in the UK. It's people that follow these teams that are really passionate.
Very intimate crowd.
Yeah, very. And the stadiums are very small and close, so you're like just yards away from the fans, so you hear absolutely everything, similar to the Kitchie fans. But no, for me, I'm used to that. It's good. It adds a little bit more to the game. So yeah, it was a really good experience for me at that age to sort of be introduced to men's football at such a young age.
You were at Edinburgh City for how long?
3 years. My last year would have been I think COVID hit that year. My first 2 years I played a decent amount, and the last year it was COVID, and unfortunately I broke both my metatarsals at different times, so it was a bit of a difficult year. And then after Edinburgh City, obviously I'd gained a lot of experiences in terms of men's football and being so young. I then signed for a 5th division team called Gallifeyreddine. And to be honest, leaving Edinburgh City at that point was probably the best thing for me. I needed to go away at, I think I would have been 19 or 20, just to play consistent football. Still a really competitive level. You have like the Hearts B team, Celtic B, Rangers B, so you're playing against like kids that are, the best kids in the country, along with there's maybe 18 other teams that are, really competitive, strong teams. And they were amazing years for me playing football. Gained a lot of minutes, a lot of games. Really good experience down there.
Who were some of the people that you were kind of like inspired by at that age? Because obviously growing up, we all have like, I guess, our heroes in football and stuff. Like, who do you remember being the people that you used to watch a lot and inspire you a lot at that time?
Like I said, I watched a lot of Match of the Day. Obviously, growing up, you had the Premier League was probably a prime era. People like Drogba, Ronaldo. I was a Man United fan growing up as well. I wouldn't really say any of the Hibs players were like your idols. They weren't so good. I mean, some years they were good, some years not. But I think the football you'd watch the most would definitely be the English Premier League. So yeah, guys like Ronaldo and things like that they were just guys that you'd watch a video of them or on the TV or a game, then you'd be straight out in the back garden trying to copy them or make a skill or whatever it be. So yeah, I'd probably say guys like that.
Did you have anybody that was like a Scottish international that was kind of like a hero to you at that age when you're coming up? That you look up to?
A Scottish international? I'd probably say Scott Brown. Scott Brown, he came through at Hibs, and then he obviously got a move to Celtic, and obviously he's a Celtic legend there. He's played so many games for Scotland, captained Celtic and Scotland, and won so many trophies with Celtic. So he's probably someone that you looked up to in terms of like their whole attitude and professionalism and how they conduct themselves. So yeah, I'd probably say someone like Scott Brown.
Obviously you play at right back, right? So was there any players that play in that position that you kind of model your game on, or like you look at how he does things and you are like, oh, maybe this is something that I can work on? Like, is there, in terms of right back, is there somebody that inspire you in that position? Yeah,
I mean, right back over the last 10 years has like evolved into so much more, It's like, used to get the guys like Gary Neville and stuff back in the day, which are a bit more like old school and just, you know, you do your job and that's it. And then now times have changed for like people like Trent that are a bit more inverted or attack minded. But sort of growing up, I was more as a winger until maybe 12 or 13. And my coach Hutches in Vale sort of seen some qualities that I had to sort of, that would better suit me to right back. I've just sort of grown up in terms of taking stuff from people like Gary Neville and people like Trent just to try and make as a best account for myself as possible. But I've always said as a right back, like, the biggest thing is probably consistency. No one's expecting you to score so many goals or of course make assists, but I think if you're a manager and you know you have a consistent fullback, I think that's one of the biggest things you can ask for. Just being a solid 7 and 8 every week is something that I've always sort of driven into myself, just being always reliable. Just not just reliable for the manager, but for your teammates, you know, for your centre-back beside you or your winger, you know, you can be counted on. So I've just tried to sort of pick things from different players and not try and just be one specific player, because every sort of player is different and I'm different to everyone else. So just trying to sort of pick each one is one that I've tried to do.
All right, so fast forward to like the Hong Kong situation. So obviously you were enjoying your football in Scotland. Like, how did this, I guess, move come about? Like, you know, you are settled in Scotland, you're pretty much enjoying your football, and then now you're in Hong Kong. So what happened? Like, how did it happen?
So when I went to Gallifreydine, my manager there, he had I think it was a coaching business with the current Eastern assistant, Eddie Mangan. And I was entering my last year in Gala. And when I left school, I started an apprenticeship in engineering. So I was working full time while I was playing football part time. You know, working in construction sites, etc. It was really hard sort of way of life. Working during the day and then training twice a week at night time. You're so tired, and then a game at a weekend. So it was a really sort of tough lifestyle, but one that I'm really sort of like grateful for. That's taught me a lot. And that was a 5-year apprenticeship that I'd done in heating engineering.
Nice.
And then so Eddie is friends with the manager at Gallifreydine, and I'd sort of been expressing to sort of people around that time that I'm finishing my apprenticeship. I'm done working on construction sites. I've done it for 5 years now. Like my body's tired. It's mentally really tough. I'm probably looking to try something abroad. Maybe go travelling. Maybe move something like to Australia. And at that time, I was turning 23, and I didn't really know where the door was going to be coming to in terms of, is there going to be a door that's going to open me to professional football? And yeah, Eddie just picked up the phone one night. He must have heard of me wanting to try something abroad. I think it was in February before the end of the season, and he said, "What do you think of Hong Kong?" And I says, "Well, I've been there once on a holiday, like 2019, just for a couple of days travelling. But apart from that, I didn't really know too much else." And he says, "Well, if you're up for it, I don't know what your plans are, but there's going to be an opportunity here for you if you fancy it. I've heard a lot of good things about you, and I know you're looking to try something abroad." And immediately it was like, right, that's me set on that. It's the first opportunity I've had to sort of become professional, and it was like a now or never moment, you know, and perfect timing in my life, finishing that apprenticeship.
How old were you then? Like 23, 24?
22, 23, yeah.
Okay.
So it was kind of like my way into professional football has sort of been backwards compared to everyone else. I've sort of done like the plan B first and sort of secured that backup plan, and then been given an opportunity pretty late on, probably in my eyes it was the last chance I was going to get, because it was such a crucial age, you could say. And then any other decision may have worked out differently. So it was, yeah, perfect timing, and ever since then, I could say that it's been down to Eddie that's changed my life.
What did you know? How much did you know about Hong Kong football at that time? Like when you first heard about this opportunity, did you know anything about Hong Kong football or the teams or whatever?
Well, of course, like when Eddie got in contact and he spoke about Eastern, and obviously that was in the February, so I wouldn't have been coming out here until the July. So I had a few months just to sort of try and familiarise myself with players, teams. I was always watching the highlights on YouTube after the games, just seeing what the standard and quality is like. Just trying to educate myself as much as possible, really. Because growing up in the UK, I can't say I knew much about Asian football in general, to be honest with you, never mind Hong Kong. So yeah, I just spent as much time as possible just trying to get used to things and be prepared for what I was stepping into.
So you arrived in Hong Kong. What is the first thing you noticed about the pre-season or just training in the first time when you came here?
Definitely heat. Even now sitting here it's like 30 degrees and I'm sweating. No, it's definitely a massive factor. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to play in these peak heats, especially where I'm from. People think it's just a bit of sun. You go to the south of Spain sometimes, it's a bit sunny, but no, here is just like a completely different. It's so humid.
Yeah.
Even the locals here, like they've born and bred here. Like it's never easy for anyone.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely say the heat, and just probably getting used to not getting used to it, but just the way you set out your week. You're not having to wake up at like 5:30 to go to work on a construction site and then working all day, and then you're training for an hour and a half at night time. Like your sole focus is training. And that was just it was nice to just be able to do that and know that you don't have any other sort of plans as such and any sort of ties or focuses. Like that was just your full focus, and it was just a nice way to get myself into full-time football.
How was training at the beginning?
It was tough, of course. Like it was pre-season, and the first couple of weeks, like it was just more about me trying to acclimatise myself and get used to the heat, which obviously in the first couple of weeks is pretty well documented that I struggled with the heat. But no, as time went on, like it's got easier. You just sort of know how to not manage the weather, but manage yourself in terms of like you don't have to be sprinting up and down all the time. Like obviously when I arrived in Eastern, I was on trial originally, so I was given absolutely everything, like blowing my tank every single time, which probably didn't help my case because I was dying after 10 minutes. So yeah, it was more just getting used to that. I knew I had not necessarily the quality. I'm not trying to sound too big, but I knew I could technically compete with the guys and stuff. It's more just the physical aspect. Dealing with the climate was something that was probably the biggest challenge.
So did you already kind of think during the trial that, I have a good chance getting a contract here, or was it already agreed that you would be playing regardless of how the trial goes?
No, so it was just pure trial basis. It was either a yes or no, really. So my first 2 weeks of pre-season were in Hong Kong, and then we went to China. And then we played some pre-season games in China. The first one, I started on the bench, and then I came on maybe the last 25-30 minutes, and we had a corner, and I was on the edge of the box, and it got cleared out, and I just volleyed it first time and scored.
So you scored on your debut, essentially?
Yeah, my first touch. Although it was a trial game, and there's definitely no footage of that anywhere whatsoever. People will tell you different, but I'll say it was a volley. And then just a few days later, like Gino said, like I'm going to offer you a contract, and of course, like I was absolutely like over the moon. I was so happy, but also at the same time, like I knew I still had more to prove. I didn't really feel like I'd hit full heights yet in terms of like physicality and when you're physically sort of drained on the pitch and you're tired, your technical qualities obviously deter and they become lower. So I had that sort of, now I'd been given the opportunity, it was about just trying to build on that and show what more I can do.
Did Chino tell you that, oh, this season we expect like you to play a certain amount of games, or what was that conversation when Chino told you that you were signed?
So actually at that time there was another foreign right back, Rio, and Easton actually signed both of us, and maybe for the first while, maybe Chino seen me more as a right midfielder or a wing back, and on the first game of the season I started on the bench and Danny actually came off after like 10 minutes. So I was
You signed together with Danny?
Yeah, me, Danny, Rio, Jesse at that time also, Noah as well. So I came off the bench. It was obviously a very early introduction. I'm not gonna lie, I was so nervous in terms of like, it was a 3 o'clock kickoff and it was so hot, and obviously a few weeks before I had that incident that I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. it was too hot. But no, I came on, I got an assist after 10 minutes, and just sort of grew into the game.
Who were you guys playing? Do you remember?
It was Hong Kong under 23s. I think it finished like 4-0. So yeah, it was a really good sort of debut, a nice sort of introduction to Hong Kong football. Yeah. And it was just a really nice sort of like reward, you know, after all the hard work, not just like from pre-season, but just life in general, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, from 4 years old to now, it was like kind of like a relief that I'm finally here, and not that I'm like now going to relax, but it's now I finally have a platform to sort of better myself every day and just football be my full focus. I just sort of gave myself that incentive when I left home, and you know, I quit my job, sold my car, you know, I kind of moved my whole life over here with me, and I just had the mindset like I can't go home, I have nothing to go back home to. So just that sort of period of time was more just sort of like relief. First of all, getting a contract, and then your debut going to plan as such. Yeah, everything was just sort of really nice feeling of reward.
And your first season was a pretty successful season for Eastern, right? You guys got to the Senior Shield final, a very, very tough loss to Kitchi, and then obviously you guys won the FA Cup as well, another very tough game, but you ended up winning that one.
Yeah.
So what was it like, you know, being in the first season in Hong Kong, and then you are already competing for like trophies? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that was, I mean, all these things were sort of bonuses to me. The first 6 months were sort of about just trying to get used to the league and get used to the players and just sort of get into a full routine of being professional full time. Probably from about October onwards, I'd sort of cemented my position as the main right back. And then we came back from Christmas. I was so fortunate enough to be selected to play against Inter Miami, which was like a crazy experience. You know, a year ago before, I was in a construction site working at like 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. and just a completely different lifestyle. So that was the first like crazy experience.
Now you are opposite Messi in front of you.
Oh yeah, I mean Messi, Jordi Alba, Busquets, Suarez was there, meeting David Beckham as well. Like, these are all just sort of like things that I look back on, and at that time I'm like, were these things ever supposed to happen to me? You know, I never thought they could ever be me. And then yeah, not long after that game, we got to the final of the Senior Shield against Kitchi. It was a tough loss, you know. I think it was 1-1 in extra time, and then Mingasov scores right at the last moment. My first sort of final of Eastern, it was, of course, it was great to get there, but we were devastated the way it ended. And from that moment on, like we were still competitive in the league, and then we just had one eye on the FA Cup, and yeah, that FA Cup game was crazy, absolutely crazy. I mean,
talk to me about that, because for me, even now, thinking back, that was probably one of the most dramatic game I've watched in Hong Kong. Like, it was against Samshui Po, obviously the underdog before the game. Yeah, tell me about that particular FA Cup final.
So, I mean, it was already going to be a difficult game before it started. It was like a rainstorm the day before and even the morning before the game, so the pitch was horrendous. It was like some puddles all over the pitch. So it was really difficult to sort of break Shamshipur down. You know, we really like to sort of play like high tempo passing football, and it just made life so much more difficult with the conditions. And then we eventually got a breakthrough. I can't remember the first goal. I think it was a header with Tamia. And then we scored again. And then with 10 minutes to go, Shamshipur just scored 2. To be fair, I think it was the guy Dunga, the striker. It was incredible header to equalise.
Please tell me you were not the one marking him for that header.
Probably. Well, the less said that, the better. But no, honestly, what a header! Like it was so far from the goal, and just such an awkward angle. He's just managed to flick it on.
Nobody expected that.
No, it was crazy.
What was going through your mind at that time? Because 2-0 up, comfortable pretty much, 10 minutes to go, you're thinking, okay, this is it, you know, you guys are going to win your trophy, and then bam, this happened. What was going through your mind?
It was similar flashbacks to the Kitchie game. In the final, it was like we'd put so much into the game. We'd had such a great season in the terms of the league and stuff, and just our performances have been really good. And just sort of being my first year in Hong Kong, and I just couldn't live with the fact that I'd got to 2 finals and lost both of them, if that was going to be the case. And you're just thinking like, no way, it can't happen this way. And then the game goes to extra time, and just Noah being Noah, just like Yankee plays a 1-2 with Bleda, and just gets on the end of a cutback. So at that moment was just pure relief. You know, I think it was only like 5 minutes left of extra time, and you're just, after such a long, difficult season, you know, my first season in professional football, so many experiences, good and bad ones, of course, to sort of get used to. And you know, it was an incredible season, and just the way that game finished itself off was a massive relief.
So obviously winning the FA Cup means you guys qualified for the ACL2, which I think is the first time it happened as well in the history of the competition. They split to the elite in the 2. So how was that? Like, because it's a lot of a higher level football then. Like, you're playing against teams from Japan, like higher level of football, Australia. Mm-hmm. So what was that ACL2 experience like the following season?
Listen, the ACL was great that year. We had Sydney, Hiroshima and Kaya in the Philippines, and I don't think many of us really knew the reward we were going to get in terms of the ACL after winning the FA Cup. It wasn't something I don't think had been decided yet, that a Hong Kong team was going to enter straight into the group stage if they won the FA Cup. So I remember just coming back to pre-season, and obviously a few weeks later you get the draw. And just seeing these 3 teams, especially the Hiroshima and Sydney, were like, wow, these are top teams. So we knew they were going to be great experiences. And just, you know, what a privilege to get the chance to travel to these countries to play football.
The Hiroshima game in Mongkok. I think that was your first game that season. It's like a first ACL2 game.
The first one was in Sydney away.
Yeah, away,
Sydney
right?
Away.
The first home game at Mongkok Stadium. I think it was a full house.
Yeah.
Danny scored first from a corner, I remember. What was that game like for you? Because it was very unfortunate you guys didn't get anything from that game.
Yeah, it was. I think that game was probably the best performance we'd put in the whole season. Such a tough opposition. All over in the pitch, they were so strong, so fast, technically just at another level. And we somehow, obviously down to Danny, a great corner from Jesse, found ourselves 1-0 up, and then I think 10 minutes later it was bang, like two goals from them, and you just sort of knew that these guys, if they want to turn up the intensity, they can at any moment. So for the rest of the game, it was just about being fully concentrated, and just sort of make sure that we don't let the game run away from us, and start the second half. Noah just doing what he does, you know, runs the channels, he's so strong, so fast, and just scores an unbelievable goal. Gets us to 2-2, and then yeah, it was such a difficult one to take. A corner right at the last kick of the ball, they score from a header. But listen, nothing can take away the performance that we put in. We were always going to be up against it, against such a strong team, and just to sort of put on that performance in front of the people in Mongkok in Hong Kong, I think was amazing. The support, the atmosphere that night, even from the Hiroshima fans, was the first time I'd seen something like that. I didn't realise the Japanese fans were that intense and that passionate. So yeah, just an all-round great experience and atmosphere.
So that ACL2 campaign, like one of the things that kind of like came out of it was kind of the emergence of Muhei in Eastern, right? Because he played well, I guess, in the home game against Hiroshima, and in the away game he scored that worldie in Japan. So tell me a little bit about how good this kid was at that time when you were training with him and seeing him every day.
Yeah, no, the kid's an incredible talent. I think he was only 17 at the time. And yeah, you could just see as soon as he started training with us that he had that something different to no other local player really. Obviously being a right back and him being a left midfielder or a left winger, I've definitely been on the end of a few nutmegs or a few sent to the shops from him. He's a amazing talent, and you can sort of see now in his second year at Chongqing what he's capable of. I think last season it was a bit more difficult for him, and I think now he's starting to get his chance more, and it's starting to pay off for him in the Super League.
So in your second season, Eastern was probably the most successful in recent years. You guys win the Senior Shield this time.
Yeah.
And then again the FA Cup, another crazy final.
Yeah.
So so second season for you, how do you think you did personally, and how do you think the team has done in the second season?
The second season was incredible, really. Like you say, the ACL games were, I think that campaign, I think Eastern definitely put on a really good show for themselves and for the people of Hong Kong. The Sydney games, I think we played well. Of course, we won in Kaya. It was the first ACL win for Eastern, and obviously a Hong Kong team. And I found out after the match that I was the first Scottish person to win in an ACL competition.
Oh wow!
So that was a nice sort of personal note to take away from that game. So ACL was great, and then like you say, the Senior Shield final against Lehman was a nice win. I don't think it was the greatest game, but you know, a win's a win, and you win a final is great. And we were still sort of fighting for the league at that moment. But then around Christmas time, like that sort of first 6 months of the ACL campaign and that league campaign that we'd done so well, and sort of seemed like that it was all going to come crashing down. You know, we lost Danny with the ACL injury. We lost Tamir to Indonesia, and then our best locals, you know, Jesse, Timmy, Yuhei. Not just our best locals, but I think these guys are the best in their positions in Hong Kong. They're amazing players. They obviously all got the chance to go to China, and rightfully so. So when we came back after Christmas, it was about sort of trying to maintain the level that we'd made for ourselves, and you know, we started off that by winning the FA Cup, the Senior Shield, staying competitive in the league, and then it was then focusing on the FA Cup. After we knew the incentives that you get by winning the FA Cup, going straight to the group stage, it was something that we made our priority, and another crazy game. Crazy game. I think for myself was even crazier, really.
2-0 down, right, to Rangers?
1-0 down.
1-0 down.
1-0 down, yeah. I think 2 weeks before that game we played Rangers in the last game of the season. I think we won like 4 or 5-0. But we knew ourselves going into that game that a final's a final. The same with Shamshupo, like Shamshupo finished second bottom that season, and you know, they gave us a game for 120 minutes. So we knew against Rangers that the likes of Ibrahim, Lau Chi Lok, that these guys are capable of winning the game for them at any point. Lau Chi Lok of course scores after 10 minutes, and Rangers just sort of made it really, really difficult for us to break down. Really frustrated us. We couldn't really get a clear opportunity, to be honest with you. And I was thinking to myself, like, it's just going to be one of these days that nothing seems to come off for us. Everything, it felt like that whole season went our way, and the one game that you want it to go in your favour, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, that last 10 minutes is probably the best 10 minutes of my life, honestly. It was incredible. Just Noah, like a 7-minute hat trick was just unbelievable. The chip against Alex is
incredible.
One of the best goals I've seen live. I think there's a video of me like running, like couldn't believe what I'd just seen. Yeah, and then to win it that way was unbelievable. It'd already been such an emotional year for me personally, and obviously for the people in Eastern. You know, seeing one of my best mates, Danny, go through that injury, and saying bye to another close mate, Jesse. Yeah, so it was just such of a roller coaster of a season, really, and just to finish it off that way, the way we did, and the way Noah did to say bye as well, because I knew he was going to Lehman at that point, was yeah, it was special.
So, 2 trophies second season.
Yeah.
And then obviously now we are finishing the first season now, and you have announced a few days ago that you also won't be carrying on with Eastern. So, what about the last season? What do you think changed the most in terms of, like, because the result hasn't been as good, obviously. So in the final season for you, like, how was it for you in the last season?
I think the differences between this season and last season was that last season we'd set such a high bar and standard for ourselves.
Yeah.
In terms of performances. The players that we had, you know, we've been lucky to sort of have that team for a few years already that sort of knew and understood each other. And I think this year there was a lot of new faces, a lot of transition. Of course, we lost a lot of players last season and in the summer. So I think just maybe, yeah, it's just that it was more of a transition year, I felt. Of course, we lost the best locals, I think, in Hong Kong. We've recruited good young local players that, of course, that no one's expecting them to just come and replicate the same as what we'd built already. Yeah. So it's about giving them time and adjusting. And of course, like it's difficult when you're doing that alongside trying to compete in ACL at the same time. We already didn't have the biggest squad in terms of numbers and experience as well. And that's probably what made the year a bit more difficult. Like the first 6 months was really tough with ACL. You know, Ratchbury and Osaka, Namdin, like they're all such strong teams. I think you've seen like Osaka and Ratchbury, they got to the semi-final, and I think equally Namdin could have done the same. They're all so strong. And just us, you could just see after game by game, we were just losing a bit more confidence. But it doesn't take away the fact that we're making any excuses for ourselves. That we know that as a club and as players that we should have done better. We can lose games of football, absolutely, especially in this competition where you're against tough opposition. But I think the way we lost the games is something that I'll always be disappointed in, like everyone else, and like everyone else in Hong Kong that has got an opinion on that. I don't take away anyone else's opinion on how these games went. They really weren't a good show, but yeah, it was definitely a difficult one to take. And then yeah, it's been one of these years that has obviously been a bit underwhelming after the 2 years that I've had already. Getting to at least 2 finals every year, and then obviously none this year. And then yeah, after Christmas, obviously Chino gets the job in Hong Kong team, and rightly so. I'm very happy for him. I think he deserves his opportunity.
Yeah.
And yeah, ever since then, since Christmas, it's been Manuel Torres. Again,
what's that like, working with the new coach, from someone that I guess knows your football, knows you for so well? Your relationship with Chino has always been very, very good. So from that to a completely new coach coming in, how has that transition been for you?
Not easy. I think it's the same for any player. I think when you've spent so long under one coach, and you know that one coach gave you the the opportunity to sort of, you know, make your dream come true and put so much belief and faith into you. To work under someone else is not easy. It's a new coach is, you know, the coach are going to have new ideas, new philosophies, new methods, and I think it's about trying to adapt to that. And even the teams at the top level trying to go through change and transition halfway through a season isn't easy. And I think you could probably see that in the first couple of games that we didn't look at ourselves, and then the Lehman game was obviously a disaster, albeit we had, I was suspended, Danny was suspended, it wasn't a full strength team, but you could just sort of see in these games and around about that time that we just, after the first 6 months we'd had in the season with ACL, our confidence was at rock bottom. So when you're that low in confidence, trying to go through transition and trying to meet the manager's philosophy, it was difficult. But I think you can see now in recent weeks and in the last couple of months we've picked up a lot more results, a lot more points, and it's been a better last couple of months compared to what maybe the first one or two were.
So for you personally, like when was it that you found out that you would not be carrying on at Eastern?
Just a couple of weeks ago, to be honest. Just had a meeting with the club. I'm not going to disclose the reasons why, but it was just going to be moving on. Not something that I personally wanted to do. I didn't feel like it was a moment in my career that I was ready to leave Eastern. You know, Eastern's, it's all I've ever known really since I arrived in Hong Kong, and I'm obviously extremely grateful that they've given me this opportunity to pursue that. Obviously, of course, I'm going to be sad to be leaving, but I've always said in my life, like, everything happens for a reason, and timing's key. So it's hopefully it turns out to be a blessing.
So on Saturday, like the game that you guys played at Mongkok against Taipo, it was kind of like a farewell kind of like game for you guys with the fans. I saw you guys go up to the Eastern fans and kind of say thank you to them for like all the seasons that they've had with you. Like, what was that moment like for you and for the other players leaving? Like, obviously it looked very emotional as well for some of you guys. Like, what was that like for you guys?
Yeah, listen, don't get me wrong, like, football is very emotional. With the teammates, like these teammates are like not just incredible players, but some of the best people I've met in my life. Foreigners, locals, we're so close, and I've been really lucky to sort of share the same dressing room right the way through my time in Eastern. You know, with the likes of Danny, Gordon Drusser, Pong, Afai, like we're all so close, and I guess it just sort of hit a few of us that we're not going to be staying or being part of that anymore. And yeah, it definitely wasn't easy. You know, Wan Chi has been here for 16, 17 years nearly, and seeing how emotional he was, it just sort of hits home. And it definitely felt it inside that it was this is more than just like just a football team. You know, it felt like family. But it's life, and things have to move on. All good things come to an end eventually in terms of football. It's sad, but listen, you have to just sort of move on and look forward.
How's your relationship with the Eastern fans?
No, I love them. They're amazing. You know, even at our lowest points, which have probably been at some points of this season, they've followed us everywhere. They've supported us no matter what. Just amazing people, just non-stop supportive, non-stop singing. They're the one fan base that I don't stop hearing the whole game, for sure. Great people, great people. Of course, I hope to stay in Hong Kong to see them again, and I hope if I do end up going somewhere else, they continue to support me, and hopefully I don't get the same abuse like from the Kitchie fans. But it's
do they have a chant for you?
I can't remember.
I do remember someone like there's. I feel like there were some songs about you, but I don't know the words because I'm not really in the fan base. But
I know, I think there is one, but like when you're in the game, you're always sort of trying to focus, but you do hear, like, you know, your name being chanted or it's being sung. So that's a really nice feeling, you know, to feel that that respect and that just the appreciation that they have for you, to know that every time I've stepped on that pitch for Eastern, I've made sure I gave 100%, and as long as they see that and know that, anything I give back to them is a bonus.
During your time at Eastern, you have scored a few goals, and they seem to be all worldies, right? So, like, which one is your favorite?
Probably, it's difficult because my first goal for Eastern against football club was it was my mum's birthday, so that's obviously like a nice sort of feeling and time to score. But
where was that goal? Where was that goal?
In Qingyi.
That was a rocket.
Yeah.
That was a game that also Victor scored a few.
That's right. Yeah, I think
like, you guys just blistered the first half. Like,
yeah.
I walked into the stadium and I literally got my camera out, and then your rocket just happened straight away.
I know. I remember that video actually. I think I've still got it on Instagram.
So that goal was incredible.
Yeah.
What about the other one? I think there was one in Mongkok as well, right?
The one against Taipo. I mean, to be honest, I've had an absolute nightmare start to the game. We had a corner, and it came back to me, and I've just completely like lost my bearings. I think it was Jojo or Clement behind me. I just thought he was there, and I've just blindly passed it, and then I've ended up just putting Lucas Silva in, and then made it 1-0 to Taipo after like 2 or 3 minutes. And I thought, no, like, this is an absolute disaster. It was like a full house as well. It was a really busy game. And then 10 minutes later we go 2-0 down, and my head's gone. And I'm just like, I just need half time to come as quick as possible. And then after the second goal went in, we're sort of keeping possession, and then I just find myself drifting inside, and I think it's Sopong. Sopong gives me the ball, I just get on the half turn, and I'm not going to say what I thought in my head, but I thought I've got nothing to lose now, and just sort of let loose, and thankfully it hit the top corner.
Would you say that is the best goal that you scored in your career?
Probably the best goal I've scored in my life. I don't think I've scored that in training.
Not even that volley at the pre-season?
Oh no! Actually, the volley in pre-season from like 30 yards. It was from like the penalty spot probably. But no, the one in Taipo to get us back in the game, to make it 2-1 was definitely the best goal I've scored. It was I think the game was like such a high stake game. It was probably whoever won that. I think Taipo, it was a better point for them than it was for us, because it finished 3 each. But yeah, that game had so much to play for. So to rectify my mistake and score like that was obviously a nice feeling.
And mentally as well, man, to come back from that nightmare start to scoring a worldie like that has to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's football you make so many mistakes, and it's about how you try and rectify that and move on. Obviously, some mistakes are more costly than others, and mine was definitely punished. But to sort of come back from that the way that I did, it's any young player watching, it just shows that don't let one mistake try and define the rest of your game. Just try and keep as focused as much as possible. I know how hard it is. It maybe takes a few minutes to get over that, or even sometimes longer. But yeah, just try and stay focused, and it'll definitely benefit you.
All right, so finally, I guess the question that all the Hong Kong fans want to know is, what's next for you? Like, new club, what's the future like for you? Like, what's the plan? And any offers on the table? Like, what's going on?
No, the plan is to definitely try and stay in Hong Kong. It's been an amazing 3 years. I'm nearly halfway to gaining the passport. So yeah, I mean, it's still early days. Still have another league game to go, and obviously I know there's still a few other teams that have the FA Cup still to play for. So in terms of movements and stuff, it's still early. But all I can definitely say to anyone that's wondering is that my incentive and motivation to stay has never changed. I'm still very keen and eager to be here and be here for the foreseeable, and hopefully gain the passport to represent the Hong Kong team.
All right, man. Good luck. Have a good
Definitely.
summer, and I'll see you soon.
Top man, thank you.